The air was heavy with dust and silence the day Daniel Hayes's life changed forever. The sun had begun its slow descent, bleeding amber light over the fields. Daniel leaned against the worn fence of his ranch, boots thick with mud, hat tilted low. His face carried the rugged lines of years spent under unforgiving skies, but behind those eyes was a man weary of battles he thought he had already fought. He had lost his wife to sickness years ago, and though he had survived, something inside him had gone quiet, like a house with the lights off. That day, as the wind rustled through the dry grass, Daniel noticed movement on the road. A car, dust billowing behind it, sped away as if running from something it didn't want to face. At first, he thought nothing of it. People came and went through the dirt roads all the time. But then he saw them. Two small figures, standing in the middle of the road. Two girls, identical in every way. Their dresses were pale blue, wrinkled, and dirty, their little brown boots scuffed from long walks. Their hands clutched each other tightly, knuckles white, as though letting go would mean losing everything. Daniel's chest tightened. He took a step closer, his voice low and steady. "Hey there, are you all right?" The older of the two, or perhaps just the braver, whispered, "She left us." The world stopped. "Who?" Daniel asked, kneeling down so his eyes met theirs. "Our stepmom," the smaller one said, voice cracking with tears. And in that moment, Daniel's life took a turn he hadn't prepared for. He didn't know why, but looking into their frightened faces stirred something deep inside him, something he thought had died with his wife. Without hesitation, he reached out a rough, calloused hand. "You're safe now," he promised. The girls hesitated for only a heartbeat, then placed their tiny hands in his. And just like that, Daniel Hayes became a father again, though he didn't yet realize it. Adjusting to fatherhood. The first weeks were chaos. Daniel had spent years living alone, his life governed by ranch schedules: feed the horses at dawn, mend the fence by noon, collapse in bed by dark. Suddenly, he had two 6-year-old girls in his home, Lily and Rose. They clung to each other constantly, rarely speaking above a whisper. Their eyes darted around the house as though afraid it might disappear. Nights were the hardest. Daniel would hear soft cries coming from their shared room. At first, he stood outside the door, unsure of what to do. He had never comforted children before. But then one night, something in him refused to let them cry alone. He walked in quietly and sat on the edge of their bed. "You're safe here," he whispered. Rose, wiping her tears, looked at him with trembling lips. "Are you gonna leave us too?" The words pierced him like a knife. He thought of his wife, of the loneliness he had carried since she was gone, and of how much he hated the feeling of being left behind. He couldn't let these girls carry the same pain. "No," he said firmly. "I'm not going anywhere." From that night on, something changed. The everyday struggles. Daniel quickly learned that being a father was not for the faint of heart. Mornings became a race. The girls needed their hair brushed and braided for school, but his large hands fumbled with the strands, turning braids into messy knots. The girls giggled at his attempts, and though embarrassed, Daniel found himself smiling too. Packing lunches was another battle. He burned eggs, spilled milk, and once accidentally sent them to school with sandwiches made of expired bread. When the girls returned home laughing about it, Daniel apologized profusely, but Lily hugged him and said, "It's okay, Daddy. We like peanut butter no matter what." He was learning. Slowly. Clumsily. But with love. The ranch chores didn't stop, of course. Daniel still had fences to mend and animals to care for. What surprised him was how much the twins wanted to help. They followed him to the stables, feeding horses with tiny handfuls of hay. They cheered when he fixed a broken water pump, and they sat on the fence, kicking their feet, while he taught them the names of each animal. For the first time in years, the ranch felt alive again. Facing judgment. But the outside world wasn't always kind. In town, whispers followed Daniel. People wondered how a single man, rugged and alone, could possibly raise two abandoned girls. Some neighbors offered help, but others doubted him openly. Maybe they'd be better off with a real family, someone muttered at the grocery store. Daniel heard it. And it hurt. He knew he wasn't perfect. But every night when Lily and Rose fell asleep with smiles on their faces, he knew he was enough. The return of the stepmom. Just when life was finding rhythm, the past came crashing back. Months later, their stepmother appeared, demanding custody. But it wasn't out of love, it was greed. She wanted government benefits tied to the children. Daniel fought with everything he had, but the courtroom was intimidating. The stepmother came dressed in polished shoes, her lies sharp as knives. Daniel, in his worn boots and simple clothes, looked out of place. The twins clung to him, terrified. On the night before the hearing, Daniel sat with them, his voice heavy with emotion. "No matter what happens tomorrow, you are my girls. Nothing will change that." The next day, the judge asked the twins where they wanted to live. Lily, small but fierce, stood up. "We want to stay with Daddy. He loves us." Rose nodded through tears. "He's our real family." The courtroom fell silent. The judge's eyes softened. And just like that, the ruling was clear: Daniel would keep the girls. Building a new life. The years that followed were filled with growth and love. Daniel learned to braid hair perfectly, to cook pancakes shaped like hearts, and to cheer loudly at school plays. He was there for every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every hard day. The twins flourished under his care. They became bright, brave, and kind, living proof that love could heal even the deepest wounds. And every morning, when Daniel watched them run across the ranch, laughter echoing through the fields, he whispered to himself, "They're my miracle." He thought he had saved them that day on the dirt road. But in truth, they had saved him every day since. Final reflection and call to action. Friends, this story is a reminder that miracles often come in ways we least expect. Daniel thought he was rescuing two little girls, but in the end, it was Lily and Rose who gave him back his reason to live. Love doesn't always arrive wrapped in perfection. Sometimes it comes in dusty boots, small hands reaching out for comfort, or in the bravery of children who refuse to give up. If this story touched your heart, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever found a miracle in disguise? Your words might give hope to someone who desperately needs it. And if you believe in kindness, love, and the power of second chances, please support this channel by subscribing to Be Kind Always. Together, let's spread stories that remind the world that love is the strongest force we have.